live show. I am here with Marcos and Costa with the Minotaur team. It is a trading system that I
Everyone.
use and all of us use. And in fact, today I just got some people telling me that the algo was doing very well. That the recent rally closed some of their positions, drawdown positions. We were pretty happy about that.
Good.
Um, So usually we meet and discuss what is going on with the market. We use a different technique. We talk about the power law. Um, then we look at liquidity. We show some of the moves of the trading system. So you are free to ask questions. I want also to announce. I don't know if you have a
Sorry,
slide. Maybe we can do
Giovanni,
better.
I was just going to say, I just checked the time. We're going to have to pick a different time, actually. I've just realized I've got a flight that I've got a flight
Yeah.
around that time, but I didn't realize it was a clash. Can we do it the day before at the same time?
The webinar you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was
we
something.
are planning a webinar, and we were
Yeah.
thinking to have it next Thursday, just after this show. But we can have it the day before. Yes,
We can do it exactly Are you guys all going to be available if we change that to the day before?
I also have my physics of Bitcoin that starts at 7, but we can do it at the same time with this show, right? We can do it at 5, and we can keep it 1 hour or something.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
What time is it right now?
Yeah, I will post it. I will
5:30.
post also on the X account with all the coordinates when we are going to do. But make a note for basically next Wednesday at 5:30. In fact, 5:30, and we can go for 1 hour.
Yeah.
We can focus on presenting and then answering questions. So the webinar will be mostly on the trading system. We will go in depth. You can ask any questions. We can show some of the results, etc. So that is the main goal. Because we try to not to spend too much time because we want to focus on the market when we do this show. But I think it's worthwhile to do a deep dive and present the system to the people who want to use it. I think this is an ideal time because any position you are going to open right now, in my opinion, they are going to be just up. If we have some correction, you will pick up some cheap Bitcoin, but we are so close to the power law floor that I'm not expecting a huge big correction. So if you have any drawdown, will last relatively short. So I think it's actually ideal to start with the algorithm right now. Anyway,
100%.
Yeah, and we can discuss it in a moment. Okay, so let me share my screen. Let me see if I can find the right picture. So this is my new indicator. I'm going to switch through the episodes through different indicators, but I still kind of like this very much. So let me see if I can change the look of it because, okay, maybe like this. Yeah. So basically what you're seeing, and let's see if I can maybe turn off ourselves. We look nice. We are very handsome, but it covers in particular Marcos. But is covering the graphs. Okay, so what this I already introduced. What you're seeing here is a beautiful power law with 2 sigma deviations. Basically, if you're looking, 2 sigma means in statistical terms, it's not really a Gaussian distribution. These price returns, this price, but usually if you have a distribution, a statistical distribution, and you're looking at 2 sigma, we are talking 1 sigma should be 65, 2 sigma should be about 90%. 94%, something like that. So the majority of data should be within this distance. And it is not the case when you are going upwards, when you're going, when if the deviations from the power law upwards, the positive ones can be very large. Recently, they have not been, but in the past, they can be factor of 10, and they go beyond the 2 sigma band. But in the case um, of a deviation downwards, they don't go. That is really amazing. That actually, and 2 sigma is not a big deviation. It means it's within the width of a distribution. So it's a pretty good statistical data that actually the data is contained with this very strong corridor. When people think there is a lot of uncertainty, it's amazing actually that the price is constrained within this band. In particular, you're thinking that is a process that is changing value, right? Bitcoin went from being few cents all the way to 100,000, and it stay within that band. It's a miracle of statistics for people that understand statistics. It's crazy that Bitcoin is so regular. And this quantity you're seeing is a more dynamical one, basically showing the daily slopes. I made a recent, I don't know if we have time today, maybe next time, I made a beautiful movie animation of the idea of these slopes. It's basically showing, maybe I can show you. Let me see if I can find it, because actually I made even an indicator out of this. Let's see if I can superimpose it with this graph. Let's see. I have many of them. Favorite. Slopes. How do you? I hate when we change layout. Yeah. How do you look for indicators? It used to be pretty simple. I don't know. I'm looking for. I want to type a name of indicator. How do you do that? I love TradingView, but once in a while we change the way to do things, and then I get lost. If I cannot find it in a second, I will give up, because I had a beautiful picture of that. No. I don't know. Used to be where I could type the name of indicator and it will come up. All right, I will figure it out. But anyway, so here is the simple power law, the sigma deviation, and what I'm plotting here are these slopes. So what the slopes are, basically, imagine, it's basically a local power law. We are fitting the power law up to that point, and we are looking at the changes over one day. And if you do that, you will see, if we could visualize it, like I say, I have an indicator that does that. I just don't know how to find it. You will see a bunch of like lines, that are pointing upwards. Yesterday I was making an analogy when we did the physics of Bitcoin show. It is almost like where the wind blows, right? So sometimes, see, the general direction of the wind is this red line, and sometimes the wind blows a little bit more north. If you think of this, like north, east, west, and south, right? Right now the wind blows northeast, right? But sometimes it blows very strongly north. This is when we have this very fast movement upwards. Other times the wind moves very strongly downwards. But the beauty is that if you add all these vectors, they are called vectors because they have both a size and direction. The size will be how strong the wind blows, and the direction, in which direction the wind blows. So if you actually sum all these vectors, what you get is one single vector, that is this movement along this direction. It doesn't even matter if you're thinking dynamically, it doesn't matter the position. We could be here and still move along the general direction. You see how here we're moving parallel to this line, here we are moving parallel to this line. So it's in this case you are caring not where we are in the chart, but where we are going. If we are still moving, because to be honest, it's easy. Bitcoin can do this fast movement down or up very quickly. What matters is what we, and it does it in few days, right? So there are these corrections that bring us upwards. Most of the motion actually happens in between. It's very slow motion, so many people don't pay attention. Many people even will think, oh, we are not going anywhere, but actually we are moving along the power law. And it's a process that is continuous. These changes simply bring us up and down relatively to these moving lines. And it's actually something that, like when sailors say, oh, Bitcoin does most of its move in just one day or a few days. They don't look at that correctly, because you can see here, look, we went from here to there, and how did you go there? It was not just one day, it was continuous motion along the power law. In fact, you can say, well, that is what the data says. It's a misunderstanding. It's like you're looking at the big things and you're thinking that is what matters, but it's not. It's this continuous methodical motion. This is why it's so important to educate people according to this language of the power law, because many people don't know how to think correctly about this topic, even people like Sailor. I'm sorry to say that. But anyway, so if you're looking at these slopes and I measure the mean value, I'm going to get something that is close to the slope of this red line. And in this indicator, what I'm doing, I'm taking the ratio between the mean value and the variability of this value. So it's almost like kind of a Sharpie ratio, a measure of efficiency, if you want, of the motion of the price, the change in the price at any particular time. And it's very cool because you can identify different regions. You can identify bearish regions and bullish regions in this way, and then transition regions. So we have been for a long time in this bearish region since we had this big correction, right, in the end of January, beginning of February, and then we kind of climbed up from there. It seemed for a little while the last few days when we reached the 74, 75 price, we were going to leave, but we are still in this transition area, right? So dynamically, we are moving away, right? We are still going along the power law. We kind of bottom up, it seems. Now, this doesn't mean that maybe there is another correction and bring us to the bottom, but it seems almost that right now Bitcoin wants to go up instead of down, at least temporarily. Okay, so this is what I see from the data. I think I really like this indicator. It's very dynamic. Long term is always one, right? It's just that we are trying to figure out also what Bitcoin does on the short term. And right now, even if we went back to 70 when a few days ago we were up 73, 74. I think is the same type of process. We're still trying to climb up from the bullish region. Now, I don't know if we are moving in this transition area for some time, and then we leave it and we go to the bullish area, but we are monitoring the situation. Okay, this is what I have to say about this. We can look maybe at liquidity.
Okay.
Look,
Look, see what we got. Share my screen. Let me.
Yeah, have you shared it? Did you share it? Because I don't see it. Marcus?
Yeah, there we go. I'm sharing it now. Do you see it? See my screen? Do you see it?
See it? Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay, so here's what we have now. We had what we were thinking would be the biggest bull trap of the year, but it did not materialize. It turned into an actual mini bull trap, but a bull trap nevertheless. So we're right here now. We just came off this peak a day ago where we topped out at about 76K. And this is indicative to this area here. We had the previous one. So let's identify what's actually happening. So now we're coming back down. That's easy to see now. But that's what we call a bull trap, where we have these bearish flag patterns that are created in a bear market, and then they proceed with higher highs and higher lows until it breaks. So let's look at the timing. The market has price levels and it has time levels as well, time zones. So when we look at the previous one, when we were in November, it started right here on the 20th, and then it lasted before we broke out of this range. It lasted about 70 days. And don't forget that we had about 10 days of holiday right in here when the commercial traders were not at work. So we'll back that out. And currently in this one, we are at day like 42, 43, 44, plus 10, 64. So we're within a few days of the other one. So it's just a beautiful thing to see how the Bitcoin is on time. The bus is on time. So what does that mean? Well, typically what happens after you have a major liquidation event like this and this, major liquidations, the market will create a new auction, will create a new value area, and the price will rotate through that value area. And typically you will see the price reach the value area high of the range, which is in confluence with where the liquidations started. So we go back to the previous one, the price eventually, it does a lot of sweeping the lows and the highs, and it sweeps, but then it climaxes with this retapping the value area high of the value area, which is in confluence with the liquidity top of that particular zone of liquidity. So the same thing happened here. We were sweeping the highs and the lows, and then we climaxed with sweeping or tapping in the level of the top of the zone. And from there, we rejected. Same thing here, same thing here. There was the potential. We can take a little bit closer look, and you can see the external liquidity that builds up to that, like here. That's what fuel is up there. But typically, there was the opportunity, because we have a big volume profile here, the 2025 macro, this one that we were in for a year, almost all of 2025. And this one has a value area low, a point of control, and a value area high of the range. And this is going to be major resistance. This is a major resistance point because we've lost this previous profiles value area. So there was the potential. I started taking some positions here, but I was holding some of my capital for this area here, and we would go up here and tap this level and then come down. That's what I was calling on last week's meeting. I was calling that the bull trap of bull traps. We worked our way up here, tapped this liquidity, liquidated these positions. Everybody and their mother would have gotten bullish. There would have been a big train of bulls, and then it would have crashed. We didn't get there. We more or less mimicked the same pattern as last time, almost to the same day. So now, what's the story now? What do we do now? Well, typically, once you rotate through the range, and you tap all the external, like we here, which they call bull trap. It's just really the sweep of the external liquidity. There's also liquidity in here. This is internal, and the external is what builds up, and then that gets swept out. So we've already swept before we took the short side. We swept the longs first. There was a lot of long side liquidity here that got swept out here, and then now we swept the short side. So now with that out of the way, then the bear market will more likely continue. So where do we go from here? We should work our way back through the range to the value area low. We possibly will lose this range. And then this is the liquidity that I'm looking at to be targeted right here. This is the new 5X leverage longs, and these are the 5X leverage shorts, longs and shorts. So at some point, the range is going to break one way or the other. Well, since we're in a bear market and we haven't rotated through this, we go all the way back to 2024. There's another huge macro value area that lasted about 9 months. And the market has a memory better than the missus. So it lasted 9 months. And we have yet to rotate through the range. We've actually tapped a point of control, which is right here, the midpoint, but we haven't rotated through this range yet. Value area low is down here at about 57K. And a healthy bull market, a bear market conclusion would need to more or less tap that level. There's liquidity, also the new liquidity that's built. There's new liquidity that's built up down here as well. So to come down here, flip this, tap this range, sweep this liquidity, that makes for a very healthy bottom event. So I'm still looking, I'm holding a lot of spot capital. I want to go spot into this zone here when we liquidate this liquidity zone and tap that level. That's where I'm going to load up my spot bags and DCA into that move. Now from a timing perspective, okay, when we sweep that, down here, sweep this level, take out this liquidity here, from a time perspective, we're looking at the end of the summer. So we'll start to work our way back up. At some point, this liquidity will grow big, just like this one up here is big. It'll grow to the same size. Just takes time for it to happen. And then at some point, we'll work our way up. So we know our deadline is somewhere around the end of October, September, in this area back here. So we'll work our way up. Then we will liquidate these shorts, right? That creates a new profile. And we should be in this profile for a while, maybe a month or so. And then that builds the next pool. This pool here will carry over. It's already there. So then we can tap that one. And then that starts to get us back to the top of the 2025 macro. There's the value area high, about 109, 110. So the bull market will not continue until we refill this range here. Getting back into it in the low 80s gets us back into the range. There's a liquidity pool being formed that we'll have to liquidate, and then we'll have to consolidate in that pool. Because when we take out a liquidity pool, we consolidate. The consolidation lasts anywhere from about 2 months. So we'll take this pool, we already see it developing in. We'll take this, last a couple of months, a month and a half. Then this pool here will continue to move over. That takes us to the top of the range. We'll consolidate this pool, and then we're ready off to the races, new highs and all that stuff. So the timing works out about October when fall is to take place. So I love the way Bitcoin rhymes. It matches, it fills the blanks, checks the boxes, and it's extremely accurate to its historical performance. It's very, very predictable in what its behavior. Now, having said all that, we don't know exactly how it's going to do that, but we know the destination. We don't know, it may take a pit stop here or there, stop on the side of the road, get some fried chicken. We don't know, but we just know where it's going. We can see the destinations clearly. So
yes, exactly. Yeah, that is the message that I'm trying to always emphasize. That we are trying to make sense of these local moves, and there is a lot of information, but what matters is that we continue the general direction. That is, we know where we are going,
yep.
and we're going there.
You make a good point, Gio. A lot of traders are trying to make sense of all this price action right here, all this stuff here.
Yeah.
Trying to make sense of that. And what winds up happening, your liquidations and your stop losses wind up here. You
Right.
become the exit liquidity for the market to consume,
Exactly.
right? Instead of trying to determine what it's going to do, set your traps based on where it's going and just
Yeah.
wait for it to get there.
Yeah,
Don't try
exactly.
to determine anything. Yeah. So, yeah, good point.
Very good. Very, very good. Now, how do we infinite mirror of
Yeah.
regression?
That's infinity right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You can see it. Let me stop sharing here. That's what I was trying to do. Turn it off because I only have one computer screen.
Okay, Costa, do you have something to show us in terms of moves of a bot, of a trading system? Yeah, just a second. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask Marcus just a follow-up question there as well. So
Yeah.
you think that the bull trap, the large bull trap move to 81, like we've seen that move up already, we're actually going to go down before we get that move. So what I'm trying to say is the next move into the 80s might potentially be the breakout once we sweep those lows. We're not going to see the same, well, the traps kind of happened. It just didn't get as high as we thought.
Yeah, the trap is over. It didn't get as high as we thought it would be. And the next time we reclaim that 80, 82 level, we'll be knocking on the door to get back into the recovery phase. That when we take that upper 5x liquidity pool, we're going to sit there for a minute. That's what they call in the cycle. You go from a bull market, a bear market, you bottom, then you go into this like pre-recovery phase where it kind of stabilizes. Then the bull phase starts. So when we get out of that, when we reclaim that 82 to like 90K in that area, we reclaim that area, then we'll be positioning for the bull run after that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and these guys are what I was trying to show before. These are basically the local slopes.
The lightsabers.
Lightsabers.
Yeah, this is where the wind is blowing at any given time, right? This is the local power lows, and it's kind of crazy to think that when you add them up, you get this red line. At least what it happens, It's like it's this consum. See here, wind is blowing mostly north, south, and the end result of all these is this red line. That is kind of crazy. It is really interesting because it tells you it doesn't matter what we do locally at that particular moment. What matters is that we continue to go up overall. But of course, we want to take advantage. But the problem is this: even if in our analysis, right, where we are trying to make sense of what is going to happen in the next few days, it's very difficult to act on this by yourself. It's much better to have a trading system that they can do this automatically. And this is why, Costa is going to share this with us. Yeah. So this is actually the system that can do this for you, and you don't have to worry. I still suggest everybody to look at the market and try to make sense of it. Trying to have an idea where we are. You should be always aware, but it's good to have a system like this that can make this decision for you while you're sleeping.
Yeah. So I'm going to show two versions today. So this is a version of the algorithm that had a much tighter TP. And this one managed to get out at around that 71K and then has been traveling really well since. This is also a really good example. If someone was to look at starting trading now, these are the kind of results that they can expect, right? Because they've survived the worst. And now we're just looking to trade the range, basically, how this thing is built. A crash from here would be able to easily deviate into the low 20s. So this is incredibly, incredibly safe time to be trading right now. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of volatility, quite a lot of trades happening. This is looking absolutely great. So anyone thinking about getting started now is definitely a good time because, the pain is kind of gone. And because this is a defensive algorithm, the defenses that we have in place would get us into such a low price. It would be 30-40% below the power law support. So, there's plenty of reasons why to get started now. We've got a few questions in the chat, so I do want to jump into another one here. This is one that's kind of stuck, right? So this is the other option. If you got stuck, you didn't get in a rally, maybe you bought a little bit higher the entry. At the end of the day, holding on to these trades, it's not a big deal. at the end of the day, once every 4 years, you're going to be in a bear market. And if you're unlucky enough to get stuck, another thing you need to understand is that the funding rate is actually quite low right now. I was just looking at a post. I think it's actually around, it's gone from 4.1 annualized to 2.7 annualized right now. So it's extremely cheap to hold these positions open. And by the time it gets out at 82K, that funding rate might have started to increase, but it's nowhere near what it would be like during a bull run. So again, very low cost to hold these positions open. So that's usually our suggestion. The only thing is that if you're in a drawdown like this, just make sure that the account is collateralized. In other words, that your liquidation levels are below power or support. It's really important. But again, if you are unlucky enough for this to happen to you, it still is fine. At the end of the day, just think about when people buy stocks and they hold them for a year, 2 years before they take profit. There's no difference here. You're just in a futures position. It has a low funding rate. Just hold it. Eventually it will get out and you'll continue. So, another good reason to start a separate bot. That's what the algorithm does. It allows you to
start a separate one, right, Costa?
Start a separate one.
So another one. So, yeah.
Correct. Which comes down to portfolio management, having reserves. You can start hundreds of bots. So, there's not a big deal about it as long as you're protecting your account. Another thing I wanted to add is the release of the software is going to be very, very soon. Maybe I can do a quick demo for everyone who's watching, because I know we had a question about that too. I'm just going to close that. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Your screen is very red, all these red tabs. I hope that it's not
I know I color code everything. So this is pretty much ready to go. We're going to have a signal bot. We're going to have a smart bot. Obviously, everything's going to be fully customizable. We've even added a calculator so we can work everything out from here. We've even built in a trade GPT, which is a GPT that's basically being trained up with the Minotaur strategy. So you're going to be able to ask it as many questions as you want. We've still got the old Bitcoin clock in here. If Giovanni wants us to continue having it here, we've got Giovanni's banner up the top there that takes us to his Patreon page. What do you think of the Bitcoin clock, Giovanni? Well, I guess it was pretty accurate, right, in terms of timing.
I think the clock still works.
The clock still works. So we've got this page here. Another cool feature is we're adding a calendar. So all our meetings, and you can see how many meetings we have, they're all going to be programmed in. So all you'll need to do is just click on it and join the Zoom link there. So it's going to be very, very easy for everyone. If you're going to want one-on-one support, you can just book a meeting directly with Severio. We've got Marcus there. I'm going to have to just update that. And we're also building a knowledge section. So we're going to be teaching everyone in much more depth how everything works, how the smart bot works, the signal bot works, the calculators.
I am very impressed, Costa. Beautiful.
Oh, really? You haven't seen this yet, Giovanni?
No, you didn't show me. It's fantastic. I love it.
Working on it for 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. Another cool thing.
Well, it's coming from early draft. You did a lot of work.
Yeah, we've done a lot. So another cool thing is all the exchanges that we can join: OKX, Coinbase, Binance, Bybit, Gemini, Kraken, OKX. And we're also doing a deal with Blowfin. This is basically a really cool non-KYC exchange that we're going to be recommending. And we're proud. We're happy to release the cost of the program. It's going to be only $97 a month to run the Signal bot, which gives you unlimited Signal bot accounts. You're also going to be able to trade tokenized commodities like gold, silver, oil, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Nvidia, Tesla. And Marcus is working on a new version of the accumulator, which is going to help us trade these. Obviously, we trade Bitcoin with the power law. That's really what we focus on. However, with the new algorithm that Marcus has been working on, we're going to have a strategy that's going to allow us to trade some of these other assets, because I know some people want more flexibility. And then, of course, we have like an upgraded plan, which is $147 a month, which just allows, for pretty much everything. So, yeah, this is really exciting. I imagine we're probably end of the month 100%, but possibly even less than a week or a week away from now. This will be done.
Ready for the conference.
Yeah.
Vegas demo it at the conference. By the way, guys, we will be at a conference. We will have a booth there. If you go to the Las Vegas conference, independently of any polemics about whatever, the organizers of the conference. It's a great event, I think, because it's one of the best things to meet other Bitcoiners in person. It's amazing. I love it. It's so different, than just seeing people online, even in a video. Everything changes. Even people that maybe may disagree on things about Bitcoin, when you meet, everything disappears and you become friend, and it really feels like we are all a big family. It's amazing. And we will have a booth. So come to the booth. I will have physical copies of my book, by the way. Today, actually, I got a copy of a book. It's not yet the final version. This is just printed. Look at this. It's the physics of Bitcoin. The real book will be bound, right? But this is really cool. I will have this book out, some copies. Maybe even we can give some of them away.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It has formulas, it has graphs. It's really cool. It's all the knowledge about the power law, because the trading system works on the power law, so it's actually good that people understand it. And it's all this stuff. And
I'm gonna get you to autograph mine.
Of course. I'm adding some new chapters, and the trading system is mentioned actually in the book. So because it's one of the things that but be a follow-up book that is more practical, with how to use all the knowledge that we have of the power law to actually, because I'm very strongly focused on this idea of communicating that it's not illogical now to do what I call hodl plus, that is all these kind of things. You hodl your coins, but you use your coin as a collateral to do things like this, like doing these techniques where you basically use contracts like futures, and you leverage a little bit your position, right? And you're not selling your coins, you're holding your coins. It's just that, and this is why it's important to be very, very conservative, so you don't get liquidated. And then over time, if a wind is blowing in that direction that we mentioned, you are getting out of, because it's part of the process. Sometimes to get stuck in this drawdown position, because this means that we bought very cheap Bitcoins, and eventually we know what happened. I know it feels bad when we are here. There is always that moment of doubt. Maybe we are going to stay here forever. We are going down. It's crashing to zero. It's not. And this is why it's not a guarantee. I can write 500 pages book, and it's not a guarantee. But the reason why I wrote, and right now the book is 400 pages, because there is so much to say about this power law and the physics behind it, etc. It's the strongest thing we have. And this is why we only trade Bitcoin. We don't trade anything else, because it's the most regular asset. We know that the overall proposition is that we go up. It's not guaranteed. Nobody can give you this guarantee. You should never take this as a financial advising. But, it's, if you focus on the science and on the knowledge, that is what we are providing. We are giving you, I give you the science, the Minotaur people, they give you the technology, So it's like we have the physics and then the engineering, of the power law. They are applying the engineering of the power law. And this is why we can fly, right? Because you put the aerodynamics, that is the physics of flying, and you have a good team of engineers, and you can fly. And this what this system tries to do, right? We want to make you fly, and it's based on science, Anyway, guys, let's see if we can go through some of these questions. Okay.
There's a client
there are some comments that are based on personal situations, and we can show them, because I don't want to. People can read them. I don't want to seem that we are escaping these questions. It depends where you started, right? Like I started while about now it's more than a year, right? It's more than a year ago, and my algo made money, quite a bit money, right? And it doesn't depend on just being on a bull market, right? Actually, sometimes you make more money when there are bear markets. It's just, the nature. I even have a graph. It's actually a power law. If you look in how long the drawdowns last, it's a function of how big the drawdowns are. So when you're going through a 50% drawdown, like the one that we saw, it will take time. It will take time, but we are going to get out of it, right? So that is the point. So I don't know when you started on your process. It's possible that you started when we were going down, and we need to recover. You can see if we have this sharp drop, we need to be able to recover from that. So, if you want to discuss this technical thing, make a call. We can help you.
Yeah, he actually is asking for that in the recent, because it does look like he needs some help. So if you email Severio@MinotaurTradingSystems.com, he'll be able to help you directly, or Daniel@MinotaurTradingSystems.com. I would suggest emailing both of them and asking for a support call. The other way, because you are a client, you can book, or you can actually join one of the daily calls, right? Severio does a daily call. He can help you right away. So I've read through all your comments, Dr. Crypto, and you should really get a support call, because someone should look at your account so they can help you. So please just use one of those three methods: either join a daily support call or email Severio and Daniel.
And I want to elaborate on that. Please, 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 don't do things yourself, okay? Because there is an entire team of experts that can help you, can give you assistance, can give you some advice. Like, if you're in a place where you could be liquidated, maybe, you can add some additional collateral. How I set it up, for example, from the start was where my liquidation was very well below the power law, because the power law is a reference and it's good that we have it, but I want to be even more sure. So I say, here is the power law, put me 20%, 30% below the power law. So I sleep at night. It doesn't matter what the market does. I know that is very, very unlikely we go there, So try to do things conservative, because the goal is not that. I know that some people say, I put, first of all, if you just try to do this with 0.1 Bitcoin, wait, do some DCA, accumulate, make your position bigger, and then wait. I will not do it with 0.1 Bitcoin. And second, it's the process, right? If you start with a modest amount, even alpha Bitcoin, let's say, and you wait, some of the calculations that we did in the past suggest that if you are looking at the long-term process, let's say 10 years, because I don't think you should come to Bitcoin thinking that you want to get out before 10 years, okay? And probably you should never get out, but maybe doing a loan, you can do different things with your Bitcoin. So if it is 10 years, we are talking about maybe multiplying by a factor of 10, okay, your Bitcoin. So if you start with alpha Bitcoin, you could have 5 Bitcoins. So it is a pretty good amount, in particular in 5 years from now, in 10 years from now, where we are thinking that Bitcoin is going to go 15 pair. Okay, Bitcoin is going 15 pair in 10 years, according to the power law. So study these things. This is why you should buy my book, because you get all the foundations, you get the idea where we are going, why we are going there, why is a valid preposition, that Bitcoin has these long-term trajectories, and use the team from Minotaur to guide you, because that is such an incredible value that the team gives you, Don't do this by yourself. Yeah, and you guys maybe can answer this. What is the minimum amount of capital to run these bots?
Marcus, I guess, can answer that.
It depends what it is you want to do. They can be configured to run with. If you're going to run on the power law, there's a portfolio way to run it where you can run it with larger amounts of capital. That's what Giovanni is referring to now. And then you can also tighten your bots down to run smaller amounts of capital more actively. It just depends on what it is you want. But there's really a minimum. I would say 10K or better can get you running some level. But to maximize the power law and everything that we're talking about here, you would. more than that, maybe like 25. But you can run with around 5K. It's probably the smallest you could go, minimum, to make it work. Yes.
So that other question from Richard Greco, he said, thanks for, I think, yeah, I believe he was just, what you were referring to was the software that we took a look at. And again, that's going to be coming next week. So.
Okay. And what about support, where people can get?
Yeah, this is the client. So like I said, you're going to have to email Saverio or Dan at MinotaurTradingSystems.com to get your help, or join the daily support call. You'll be able to get the help.
Okay. Good. All right, guys. Thank you very much for your interest. Remember, on Wednesday next week, we will have a webinar on all these things. Maybe we can do a demo of a dashboard, etc., and we can go more in depth. There will be some onboarding for the people we want. We can even assist you online, maybe while we're having the webinar, if you want to onboard and want to get more direct information. Usually the process involves where you get into a call, and then you have a discussion, because there is a lot of personalization in the system. So we really like you to call and have this conversation. And but maybe we can help you to set up a call Wednesday when we do the webinar. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Let's see each other on Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
Awesome.